Okay, so here's an intro to all of my instructional videos. So with these instructional videos, as it's mentioned oftentimes in videos, you're going to want to be taking notes. You'll need to have your notebook out. You'll need to give a section name and take notes on not only what you see in the video, but also what is up on the screen, things that are new to you, things that are important when I give instructions, examples. Also, I encourage you, write down questions. It's important to write down questions that you may have, especially during a instructional video. So make sure you're taking notes, write down questions so you can send them to me or ask me later on. Also, feel free to pause the video. That's one of the powers of a video recorded lecture or presentation, is that you can pause it, take your notes, and then start it back up again. So just a few tips that I like to insert at the beginning of all of my videos. All right, good luck.
Hello, welcome to Sculptris. Hopefully you don't have too much shine from my glasses here. Sculptris, digital sculpting. We're going to be talking about some of the basic tools in Sculptris and how to use Sculptris to make a couple of files or a couple of objects. Before we get into this video is in 3 sections. Each section will be a separate video, but one is going to be on vocabulary. The other ones will be on 2 demos, a dinosaur and a face that you're going to be sculpting. Okay, moving right along. Sculptris is a 3D digital modeling tool. It's put out by a company called Pixologic. They also make a professional tool called ZBrush. This is what we refer to as a legacy program, meaning that it's no longer really supported much anymore. They're putting a lot of their energy into ZBrush, but it is still a great tool to get into 3D kind of organic modeling, making lifelike things, making more kind of fluid flowing things, as opposed to in Fusion 360 and Tinkercad, where it's more kind of block-like or kind of angled, a lot of angles. Okay, so jumping right in here. So some tips and things on taking notes. You're going to be watching watch one section at a time. Again, this is in 3 sections. Make sure you go through each section all the way through, then go back and rewatch it. When you go back and rewatch it, you want to take some notes, and that's where you're going to be doing your note taking. After you've gotten your notes down, then I recommend you watch it a 3rd time, writing down any questions that may come up. And as you're watching this, pause when you need to, or pause when you need to write something down so that you're not missing out on any instruction. Don't just watch it and then say, got it. Okay. And then after your 3rd time, this is where you're going to try to get the answer to those questions. You can either wait and ask me in class, or I challenge you, and I think you'd find it a little bit better, to do some research on the web. Type your question into Google or into Bing and see what answers come up. So, things to take notes on. Vocabulary and tools. What do they do? How do they work? Are there any tips given? And then during the tutorials, make sure you understand, what is the object being made? What does it look like? What are some techniques that are used during that? What tools are used? And any troubleshooting techniques or troubleshooting hints that are given. Okay, so let's jump right into tools and vocabulary. All right, so Sculptris got a little cheat sheet here. This cheat sheet will be available for you in the materials section of Google Classroom, but it's broken into, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. You've got your brushes. These are the things you're going to be using to sculpt with. The tools I don't really get into, but these are a little bit more advanced tools that will help you if you want to get more into this as you go along. I would encourage you to get, if you want information on the tools, to look them up. Objects, you can either have a new sphere or a new plane. So you could work with a sphere or an orb, or you could work with a flat plane. Files, when you save these, they save as kind of Sculptris files, but when you're ready to 3D print them or to send them out, if you want to 3D print them, you will send them out as an OBJ file, and then I'll take it from there to put it into the printing. But you certainly don't have to print these out to turn them in. Okay, one thing for this tool, this is also used for creating 3D models for like gaming or avatars, sprites in games. Also on this cheat sheet, you'll see what the various mouse buttons do. Left mouse button would be your sculpting. Right mouse button is orbiting. If you're doing control, you can sculpt in inverse. Let's see here, shift in the left mouse button is smoothing things out, so you got some shortcuts here and some shortcuts there. Okay, so let's jump right into the brushes. So the brushes you have are all right here. They look like these. The crease brush looks like this. It's kind of like you're folding paper. You can either crease it in with a V this way, or you can invert it and crease it like this. All of these brushes do have an invert tool, and I'll show you that key. It's a keyboard shortcut, really, it's a keyboard shortcut. For draw, it's where you're just adding material. You're just adding it on, adding it on, adding it on, and kind of drawing, kind of like drawing with a pen. You're adding ink to the paper, or painting. You're adding ink or paint. Inflate is kind of like you're blowing up a balloon, so you're blowing the material out from either the center or the inverse would be blowing it in. Pinching, as if you're pinching it together like so. That's kind of pulling things together, kind of a pinch like this. Flatten is where you're pushing things, kind of pushing them down. It's kind of pushing them down and erupting out. It's really hard to explain, but you'll see it when I do the little demo for you. Smooth kind of just smooths things out, takes away the roughness of those. The grab allows you to stretch things out. Scale is a kind of a pull in or out. So those are the brushes. Moving on here. Objects, pretty simple. New sphere gives you a new surface to work with, or a new sphere, a new orb to work with. A new plane gives you a new flat surface to work with. There are some ways you can choose different materials as well. I'll demonstrate those in the demo. Okay, files. Import objects. This is if you want to bring in an OBJ file that you have created or that you found on the web that you want to add on or modify in some way. Export would be, again, exporting your file, your creation in OBJ format to send for 3D printing. Open allows you to open projects that you've saved, and save allows you to save projects to your hard drive or to the server in my class so that you can save your work. So with that, all right, we're going to go into a demo here. So I'm going to get out of PowerPoint and jump over to Sculptris. So here you have your orb, or your sphere. You can choose from different types of materials. I'm going to stay with the default material. You can scroll down there, but I'm going to stay with the default material because that kind of shows things off best. With all or most of your brushes, you do have a size slider, and you have a strength slider that you can adjust the strength. You can do a lazy or an invert. I'm going to stick with that with just airbrush mode, and the keyboard shortcut will be X for changing things up. So starting off with the crease tool, and I'm going to increase the size a little bit and the strength just to overemphasize this. So you can turn off the symmetry so that what you do only happens on one side of the orb. If you turn it back on, you'll get that little confirm message. This line going down the center, what you do on one side will always happen on the other side. Okay, so here we go with the crease tool. So there's a crease, there you're folding things in. And if I go to invert, then I'm kind of creasing things out. Okay, so that's the crease tool. The draw tool, here I am so normally would be pushing things down, or no, that's inverted. So uninverted is there I am adding material to that. Okay, moving on to the inflate, there I am kind of blowing out the material. Invert, there I am kind of blowing it in. Okay. Pinch. So non-inverted, I'm kind of pinching things together. I'm going to pan around so you can see that, kind of pinching it down in. If I hold the brush down, you kind of got to move it to get the pinch to happen. If I invert it, it's going in the other direction here. Okay, so there you can see that there. All right, so let's move on to flatten. Flatten. Okay, there I am kind of flattening things out a little bit, inverting it, and kind of flattening it in. Okay, rotate. This is one of the tools. It looks like a new tool. It looks like, so you can kind of rotate things, get kind of a twisty motion. Okay, and then invert, that was inverted. And this is non-inverted. Okay, moving right along. Scale. It's another tool. So you can kind of see where you're adjusting the scale to things. Here's that grab tool, pulling it out, and kind of there. And then smooth, we can smooth things over. To get the new sphere, you can say facing the camera, I want to get a new scene, and changes will be lost, that's okay. There we go, I've got my Latin, now I'm going to crease things there. So there's that plane, right click is allowing me to rotate things. If I want to get a new orb, there's the new orb. So pretty easy. If I want to save, I'm just going to hit Control S, and you'll look for, instead of local disk, you'll look for your username over here to save it to, and it saves as a sculpture file. When you're ready to send it to me, you'll hit Export, and then it'll change it to a wavefront OBJ file that I can work with. Okay, so that's tools in a nutshell. Remember, go back. I encourage you to go back, watch this video again, put together questions, write down questions in your notes that you need to get the answers to. In the next two sections, we'll be talking about creating a simple dinosaur and getting into a little bit more detail of a face. Okay.
All right, well, hopefully you got something out of that. If you need to, feel free to go back and rewind or go back and watch the video again. Make sure you take those questions you have and send them to my email. That'll pop up here a couple times. And as always, go forth and do great things.